Alright, since I haven't made a video in a while, I figured I'd just give kind of an update of what's going on, what I've been up to lately. Still working on the Bessemer. I have a couple kinks to work out on that as far as the fuel delivery system is concerned. I recently acquired another regulator for it, and I've been experimenting with that. So I'll have an update on that, you know, soon. Soon enough. But in the meantime, I just figured I'd make a little video on some projects, you know, other things that I will be getting to someday. But this is my most recent, you know, project acquisition kind of thing. It's a 12-horse Witte diesel electric plant. It's got the 12-horse single-cylinder Witte diesel and an 8,000-watt Witte generator head. Up there. Witte. It's 12240 volt, single phase, 8 kW. The head runs at 1800 RPM. And as far as the engine goes, it's in pretty good shape. Looks like it's missing, you know, a cap for the breather. It's no big deal. I should be able to just make something if I straighten this out and make a nice cap for it. Put a little screen in there. It's got the fuel pump on there. The secondary fuel filter there. Oil pressure gauge. It's a nice complete engine. Turns over. Doesn't have much compression, but I think that's just because everything's dry. Nothing's been worked or moved in quite some time. The injection pump needs to be torn down completely. Gone through. The rack is stuck right now. See, don't want to force it, just take it off and let it soak. Same thing with the injector. I'm sure that's full of nasty gummy fuel. But yeah, I should mention that the injection pump is stuck. The plunger's stuck in the completely forward travel position. So when I rotate the engine, it's not actually, the plunger's not returning. So it's not like it's trying to force the plunger through a dirty, rusty barrel. It's going to damage it. So if I rotate it, it's not that big of a deal. Valves are free. Also with this unit, I got the original, well, kind of the original metering panel, which has a voltmeter and an ammeter for each leg, each line. And it's got the big field rheostat on it, and a disconnect switch, all tagged Witte Engine Works. So I'll show you guys that in a minute. This should be a good project. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with it. If eventually it'll end up being on a big cart for display at shows, or if it'll end up being mounted stationary somewhere at the house. So not sure yet. It sure is a heavy thing. It took even on these rollers, well, the rollers didn't do very much because it crushed most of them, but when it even was on these rollers, it took everything. I had a little 3,000 pound electric winch. It took almost everything the winch had to get it from the back of the trailer up to the front of the trailer on these little rollers. So I imagine it, you know, as a unit, it probably weighs at least 1,800 pounds or so. There's a lot of iron there. So, and you know, 3,000 pound winch, that's 3,000 pounds. That's always, they always overestimate them, always overrate them. So the line might be good for 3,000 pounds, the cable, but the motor sure isn't. So that's that. And right behind it there, I don't know if you guys remember this engine. I made a video and I briefly glanced at it back in fall, I think, maybe October or November of 2013. This is a McDuff 2-cylinder marine engine. I don't know what era, maybe mid-20s or so. The only reason I think it's a McDuff is, based on pictures that I've seen. There's no serial number, there's no ID tag, anything like that on it. But if you remember, the plan for this engine was to put it in that old Pennsylvania Meteor tractor. Well, I came to my senses and realized that was kind of a goofy idea. And more so because a couple of my engine friends, people that are into these things, said that I'd probably get chased out of shows if I put an engine like this on that old dirty rusty tractor. So I went with a different approach, cleaned it up, made it look halfway decent, put it on a little cart. I got a little box that I made for the buzz coils, and just display it like this. And it runs alright. It's pretty loud. I guess, it's like the Bessemer. It's a large bore 2-stroke. It's not as big as the Bessemer, of course, but it's got 2 cylinders. I don't know what the bore is. I think the bore might be like 3 7/8 or something like that. But it's a pretty large bore 2-stroke, and it makes lots of noise. But I've actually already sold this whole setup with the McDuff engine, just waiting to be delivered to a friend down in Delaware. So hopefully I'll make a video of that running before I actually deliver it. But got one more project that's going on to show you, so stand by. Alright, now we're looking at the control and the disconnect switch for the Witte Generator set. It's got 3 little triplet meters up here. Voltage in the center, and then line 1 and line 2 current. Got the field rheostat, manufactured by Ohmite. And not too much going on inside there except for some connections. Rheostat. The disconnect is actually tagged Witte Engine Works, 8kW, 115-230. So I believe it's manufactured by Square D though. And just a standard disconnect. So I believe it's actually like a snap action switch. Let's see. I might even have an interlock too. Yeah. I think it is a snap action switch, but I think it's just sticky right now. Got that spring in there, spring loaded. But yeah, original wire. Gotta save that. Did get quite a bit of this. This is like 8 gauge. Yeah, it looks like number 8, maybe number 6. Anyway, so that's the disconnect for the Witte generator. And let's see, down here there's the cylinder head for that Kohler, and here's the control box for that Kohler generator. Got the start contactor. I'm not sure what this one does. I've got a original manual for this generator, as a matter of fact, which is nice, so I'll look through that later. And it's got a lot of hack wiring in it, stuff that's been done over the years. I've never seen a solid aluminum conductor that big before. That's like number 8 solid aluminum. Interesting. But yeah, not a lot of metering going on here, just 1 volt meter, which is kind of in rough shape. Start stop buttons down there. Some kind of homemade metering panel. Actually, I don't think this was homemade. I think it's been modified, but I'm not sure what this originally came off of. I don't think it was a generator, because that doghouse wasn't original that it was sitting in. But I got an ammeter, AC amps, DC volts, and a little voltmeter or ammeter, DC ammeter. Yeah, might be some salvageable components off of this thing. Of course, the control box, have to save that. Let me show you the manual while I have you here. Alright, well here's another project you guys might remember from that video last fall. This is that 10 kW Kohler Generator set that I had. I actually picked it up last fall. You might remember it. It was in some kind of like weird homemade trailer thing with like a little doghouse over it. It was pretty rough looking. Now I've since taken it off of that trailer, which was essentially the front axle of some car, probably from the 40s. They welded the kingpins so that the wheels wouldn't turn. But so I've taken it off of that trailer, and I acquired this chintzy little jet ski trailer. It's actually not that bad, but it's really small. And I shortened the tongue on it and figured, oh, well, you know what? I got it for cheap, so let me see if I can mount this generator to it. And I don't know what this generator weighs. It's pretty significant. But they rate these tires at something like 800 or 900 pounds a piece. And looking at the chassis, you know, it's not that bad. So I figured, put this generator on it. So welded these cross arms, these 3 crossbars here. Set the generator on it, and it, it tows well. The tires look like they're holding the load just fine, and the suspension really didn't really collapse that far or travel that far from when there was no load on it at all. So I guess it's doing all right with it. Of course, it's not complete yet, but we'll see how it turns out in the end. But I think it'll be all right anyway. The engine's stuck. Well, the cylinders don't look too bad. Sorry. This is just some carbon that I was wire brushing off, but the cylinders don't look bad. You know, there's a tiny ridge, nothing bad. It's been run, you know. It's old. So not really sure why it's stuck. So I've just been putting some penetrating oil around the cylinders for now and down into the valves there. Let it sit for a day and see if I can free it up. I might pull the oil pan before I try, just to inspect everything. I don't imagine it's the rear bearing that's holding it up, because that's oil filled, and there's plenty of oil in there, clean oil. So, but yeah, so that's one of the things I'm working on now. I got the control box off of it. It's going to need all new leads coming out of the generator head, obviously. It's it's a 12240 one single phase 10 kW unit, little Waukesha FC engine. Right, well, here's some nice manuals I got with that Kohler. First is the Waukesha original FC engine manual, which is very comprehensive and in very good condition. Pretty much anything you need to know about that engine, as well as part numbers, anything you need. Now, parts for these Waukeshas, look at that, rebuilding instructions for the governor, everything you need. Pretty slick. But parts, like I was saying, parts for these Waukeshas, the FCs, are kind of scarce nowadays. But lucky for me, down in Philadelphia, there is a industrial engine supplier that specializes in parts for old Waukesha engines. So I'm going to need a head gasket, obviously, for one, maybe some other gaskets, and hopefully not too much else. But be calling them. And here's the original Kohler manual for this generator, 5 to 10 kW units. You see the previous owner's written some information, model serial number. It's a 1200 RPM generator, I forgot to mention, 6-pole. So really nice manual for that. Look at that. Beautiful. Anything you need to know. What's it say about oil pressure? Not less than 15 pounds. That's when it's up to temperature. That's good. Carburetor. Oh, there's some three-phase information. Information if you have an automatic transfer switch or an automatic start switch. Here's the good stuff. Looks a bit different from my panel. Automatic models, okay, there we go. Let's see, what's on the previous page? Nothing. Some nice wiring diagrams. Oh, what's this one? That's more automatic. So there should be in here, hopefully, some information for my generator, which is a manually operated unit. Really nice to have this stuff. Oh, that looks like mine right there. Oh, nope, more remote control. Now I'm sure I'll find it. Governor settings. Yeah, good stuff. And this looks like maybe somebody put an aftermarket gauge on it, oil pressure gauge at some time. Just some old information. Probably for those meters that were put on there that weren't original. What's this? Oh, somebody's little homemade schematic. Pretty neat. 1992 maybe? 192? That's the last time somebody worked on this. These little notes. Alright, so that's that on the Kohler. It says templates for some meters. Alright, so that's that for the Kohler generator. Alright, next up on the project list is Briggs & Stradun Model FI. Serial number 6264. I don't know the year, I haven't looked it up yet. This engine isn't mine. It belongs to the former president of one of the engine shows that I attend every year. He brought it up to me at Jacktown and said that he couldn't get it running, and he's been playing with it for a while, and pretty much just says, get it running, I don't want to fiddle with it anymore. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, I didn't notice it at first. You know, I'm not really, you know, too hardcore into these F-series Briggs engines. But you know, a friend of mine who is mentioned that the Kickstarter's on the wrong side. Usually, and you know, now that I'm looking at it, it makes sense that usually the Kickstarter is on the magneto side. You know, so the chain clutch is on the mag side, and this is the magneto side flywheel. So it looks like, you know, you couldn't have the Kickstarter. You couldn't just swap it over to this side because you know, it wouldn't work because of this angle here. You know, it would be flipped around. The chain would have to be out over here. The arm would be coming out this way. So he said that probably what somebody did was they just put the base on backwards. So he just popped these 4 bolts out, 2 here and 2 there, and picked the engine up and rotated it around and put it back down. And he said that's probably the reason why it's not running. It's turning the wrong way. But you know, when you look at it, looking at the magneto side flywheel, you know, the Briggs engines turn, well, and all the ones that I've seen turn clockwise, and when you kick the starter over, it still turns clockwise. And you know, you can even look at the angle on the fins there. So, and I mean, it makes phenomenal spark, but the one problem that I see right off the bat with it is that his intake valve is leaking real bad. I pulled the head off, and the valves are just pretty well shot. They're not pitted, but the guides are a little bit worn, and then the seats are just worn. So, got to put those in the grinder and take care of those, and then take care of the seats and the head. But other than that, it's a pretty original, complete engine. So, I don't know. If it matters that the Kickstarter's on this way, or if some came like that for a certain application. I don't know. I imagine it wouldn't be too hard to flip it around, because I think those starter ratchets just thread on. Like this is not the actual ratchet, but this nut here, right here, just threads on, and you could just unthread it and put it on this side. I'm not sure if there's any reason it was put together like this, but I don't know. So I'm gonna make a video on that when we get to it. When you try to start it now, it'll try to putt. You can tell it's firing, but every time it fires, you get a big puff out of the intake. It just blows right by the valve. So I don't know. Another project. Alrighty, and last but not least, got a one-horse International Mogul, made in 1917. Got it all torn down here. This is on the original skid, which needs a little bit of help. But see that? Get some original green paint underneath all that gunk. Got a good bore. The remnants of a decal, which should come out pretty well once I clean this grease and stuff off. Tag there. Nice and greasy, just how I like it. This will clean up real nice. Of course, no paint, but clean it up, go over it with some linseed oil. This will really look nice. Got some parts over here on the Mogul shelf. It's a pretty well complete engine. Original muffler. The valves are nice and snug in their guides. Got the original brass case mag. So I haven't done any testing on that, but it'll probably be alright. Got my igniter here. Piston rings. Connecting rod bab looks good. So pretty nice engine. The only thing that's not original is the cylinder oiler. This was given to me with the engine. Why'd you go blurry? There you are. And not original to the engine, but the crankshaft oiler is original, so I'm told. So that's good. All the bearing surfaces look like they're in nice shape. Mixer there, still on the head. Got a sheared off needle valve, so I got to acquire a new one of those, or make one or something like that. Fuel pump, it's in good shape. So yeah, pretty much this engine just needs to be cleaned up and put back together, and it should run just fine. What I'm thinking. So it'll be nice to have a project that I don't have to, or an engine that I don't have to re-engineer from scratch. So I'm looking pretty good. The only thing is, let's see, I think, no, I thought that was broken out, but it's not. This is just a retainer collar for the gib key. Not so much a retainer, but just like a protective ring, so gib key doesn't get caught on something. But I thought that was broken, but it's not. So everything looks good on this one. We'll have updates on that. Alrighty, thanks for watching.